Least resistance is a wily thing, isn't it?
So great to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for helping us. Try to keep it short and sweet. I think I struggle with the thoughts versus the feelings. The 17 seconds of a thought will bring another thought, and I think sometimes my thoughts aren't the ones I want, and I want to try to focus on, am I supposed to be thinking about how the feeling of the thought, and how I try to amplify the feeling of it, or am I supposed to be focusing on, does that make sense?
Well, to be really accurate, first a thought occurs to you, wherever it comes from. It already has some momentum going, and now it's formulated, so it's a manifestation that you could call a thought. So the thought occurs to you, and simultaneously, thought first, but really simultaneously, but thought first, but really simultaneously. They're so close together, but thought first, but simultaneously there's a feeling. So what that feeling is if you're paying attention, it's the way you know how well blended the thought that you've just received is with what your inner being is thinking. In other words, you could even say, did I get this from my inner being, or did I get it from the internet, or did I get it from a past belief? And so the reason that we want you to think and then feel is because that's the only way you know whether you're on the track of what you really want or whether you're off on some wild goose chase. It's the only way that you can really deliberately focus. So it seems logical to say, well, I'm going to focus a thought. But really what we're asking you to do is focus a feeling. If you care about feeling good, if you have an intention of feeling good, let's say you know someone and you want to introduce that someone to somebody else you care about. And so you want to really get off on the right foot. You really want to present them in a positive way. It's sort of like that. You're wanting to think thoughts that you know feel good. This whole thing is about understanding that you have a point of attraction, and that your point of attraction is known by you by the way you feel. You want good things to happen, feel good. You want bad things to happen, feel bad. It's sort of kind of like that. So now ask your question again.
Okay, so almost kind of like the virtual reality thing that you were talking about. I think that's kind of been helping me.
Slow down.
Imagining how it feels. Putting on the goggles and thinking, what is this going to feel like if what I want happens? Sometimes I get caught up where I'm trying to think about it, try to think about the better feeling thought. And I think what works better for me is putting the virtual reality on and feeling that, imagining that it's already here. Imagining the manifestation is here. What does that feel like?
In that situation, you're already in control of the way you feel. You've already decided that you want to feel good. So it's logical that you would be able to find some good feeling thoughts. But really, let's be really practical about this. Let's acknowledge that you're in a moment in time in your day, and maybe you're by yourself and maybe there are other people around, and let's just be real about it. Whatever it is that has your attention, you're thinking about it. We want to start at a really basic place here. Let's say that you're at a dinner table with some friends. Maybe you know them well, maybe you don't, doesn't matter, a bunch of you together. And somebody's talking about something. They're talking about the NBA games. And you like basketball, you've been watching, you have a favorite team. And so it's easy for you to get in on that discussion. Or let's say somebody just bought a new car. They at first weren't sure whether they wanted an electric car or not, but they went ahead and they got an electric car, and their experience was such and such. Well, you have opinions or experience, and so you might jump in some way. Stay with us. It's only going to be boring for another minute. So then, what we're talking about are subjects like cars, sports, could be politics, could be religion, could be clothing, could be children, could be parenting, could be anything, could be any subject. When you are looking at discussions or attraction based upon subject, there are so many possibilities that honing in on a subject, in other words, you could talk about any kind of car, past, present, or future, not as important as the way the subject feels to you when you're thinking about it. So what we're getting at, not very well yet, but we're getting there. What we're getting at is, if you're approaching life from focusing on subjects, it gets overwhelming and out of control, and most people don't know what they're doing. But if you will instead decide that you're going to focus upon your attraction not on subjects like money or dating or cars or work, but you're going to focus your emotions on happy, interested, satisfied, fun. If your intent is to focus the feeling, it's such a smaller list. We only came up with 22 that really matter. There are many more emotions than this, but there's really only about 22 spots on here that you really want to manage at all. And so let's say that you're with people, you got together with them because you want to have a good time. Fun is something that's active in your vibration. You know what fun is, and you know what a good dialogue is, and you know what finding the sweet spot in a conversation is, and you know what bringing out the best in people is, and you know what getting on a subject where you're having a good time is. So if you're approaching this gathering that I want it to be enjoyable, and I want to contribute to it, and I want others to contribute to it, that's an easier thing for you to manage and step into than if you're wondering what this group of people might possibly talk about. Because you can be on any of these subjects and feel worried about them, or you could be on any of the subjects and feel great about them. But the whole point of it is to get 17 seconds going that feels a way that feels good to you. If you can accomplish yourself feeling good for 68 seconds at this table, you can elicit from others, with the help of the law of attraction, something that can keep this conversation going. And every one of you, most likely when you leave the table, will say, that was so fun, and not one of you will have anything so tangible that you'll take away from it, but you will all feel like you contributed, and you will all feel like it was a good time, and it was a good way to spend an hour or two. You see what we're getting at? Trying to manage thoughts is complicated and actually quite impossible, because they can get scattered so far so fast. Someone might be talking about a car that they had that was fast and hot and red, and they might be talking about how easy it was to be on the road in this car, and how it was so close to the ground and so well engineered that you actually felt like you could put that car anywhere within this range. In other words, I want to be over there, and it's got the mobility, it's got the flexibility, it's got the go power. You can command where this car is on the road because it is so responsive to you, and you are so used to it. It's a really good experience to be in that car. You just feel like you're the master of every moment that you're in it. And as you're talking about that car in that way, you would invite from the conversation around you other experiences where people feel invincible and empowered and enlivened and surprised and delighted. Some who don't catch the vibe might want to talk about their red car that they crashed when they were 16, or about their red car that they really wanted, that their dad said that he'd get him and never got him. There's a lot of different ways to feel about a red car. But if you've stayed on the subject of the way you want to feel long enough, then your point of attraction is going to be so powerful, and you're going to be coupled with your inner being, who is so powerful because there's no resistance in that vibration, and your point of influence is going to be so attractive that you will notice what happens when you have that kind of focus and that kind of clarity. So you can focus on the feeling, or you can focus on the subject. We are encouraging you to focus the feeling and let the subjects follow. You have filled your vortex full of subjects. Every time you saw a pair of shoes that you didn't like, they were really uncomfortable, you put comfortable shoes in your vortex. Every time you wore a piece of clothing that you were unhappy in, you, without even knowing it, put a comparable piece that you did like in your vortex. Your vortex is full of all of your preferences, whether you know that it is or not. And when you accidentally stumble on a subject, or someone around the table guides you into a subject, and you find your way in alignment with your inner being on a subject, life is more fun in that moment, and that's really what you're looking for. If we could convince you that your vortex is full of everything that you want, and that you have easy access to it just by finding some feelings that feel good, everything about your creation would begin to feel so simple to you. Esther remembers many years ago, she seemed to be on every catalog list that existed, because even back then she was ordering things online for the house they were building and da-da-da. And they'd be gone for weeks at a time. And when she'd get home, there'd be a stack this big of catalogs. Front Gate was one that she really liked, and Bed Bath & Beyond was one that she really liked, and nicer ones, Neiman Marcus ones. And in those days, we were encouraging everyone to tear pages out and keep them, put them in a creation box and that sort of thing. So Esther would sit with this stack of catalogs. Some evening, the television would be on, and Jerry would be over there, and she'd be over there, and she'd have her catalogs. And at first, it was like, ooh, fun. So much to want. But she didn't get very far in it before she'd start feeling this overwhelmed feeling of even what to choose. It was just a whole bunch of stuff that was available to her, but there was no theme to it. There was no need that caused her to look for it. There was no search engine that caused what she was looking for to come up. It was just page after page, book after book of stuff. And she would like it for about the first hour, and then it would start to just feel like, she just could hardly even stand to turn another page because the subject of all that stuff just wasn't getting anywhere for her. But if she had a desire for something and she put it with some specifics into a search engine and some things that came up that were satisfying that intention or that feeling, now that feels like productive creation. Can you feel the difference? And so we're just saying that emotion gets you to the productive difference faster than anything else. Now, if you can, step back to where you were when you asked that question, and let's go at it again.